Hello, Craig Yanagi from JVC. How you doing? Welcome. Thanks
Thank
for
you.
coming.
It's great to be here.
We have a very interesting camera here. We call it a palm camera. You call it a handheld camera,
Yes.
right? But it seems like that's a shape and a segment that's sort of been ignored lately ever since the DSLR craze came out. But it is really a beautiful form factor. As you can see on our rig here, it really is, like you said, a tan style. It's kind of cool.
One of the things about JVC is that we really take into consideration ergonomics, and this is no exception. We took a lot of feedback from the marketplace asking for a handheld Palm Super 35 image camcorder. And the engineers and the designers did a wonderful job, and the result is the GY-LS300. We couldn't be any prouder than this product.
You want to tell us a little bit about it?
It is one of 3 in our line of 4K high-definition recording camcorders, and it's the very first from JVC with the Super 35 imager.
That's what caught my attention.
You and I used JVC cameras in the 80s. Oh my God, we did millions of projects with them, and we love JVC cameras. And a lot of people don't realize that they are a huge segment of the market. We were talking about that in the news section of the market. You've always dominated that area.
Well, recently with the workflow that we've been able to implement into cameras, we were the first camera in the industry to be able to record QuickTime in camera. So it was a great feature for news that needed to have immediacy in getting the image into post and out the door. So
one of the great things that I always liked about JVC was the look. You know, certain cameras that you just love the look. There are people that love the Canon look. There are people that love, well, you know, I'm not going to say which cameras, but we've always loved the JVC look. And you see, we have, how many JVC cameras have you seen
lot.
here?
It's
A
not
lot.
always,
15, 20 JVC cameras.
it's not
There's a
always
lot.
about the numbers. You know, it comes down to, you know, the look.
Yeah, so we were very excited when you came by that we could get a look at this camera, because now this is a competitive camera to everything out there. So why don't you give us a little of the specs on the camera?
sure. So at the highest level at 4K, it records at 150 megs, H.264. And high definition, it records at 50 megs, 422, H.264, and also includes AVC HD as a recording platform. Also can record standard definition, and 480 by 270 progressive, 30p, which is ideal for small form factor screens and the immediacy, really, to send the video up to the web.
One thing that you mentioned to me that was kind of interesting is the HDMI can go 4K.
Through the HDMI connection, you have 4K output. This is a HDMI 1.4 connector. Through the SDI connector, which is 3G SDI, the camera is providing is a real-time down conversion.
So there's 3 ways out of this camera. You have your SDI, you have your HDMI, and then you have this whole streaming capacity,
Yes,
which is really cool.
exactly.
I mean, why don't you explain how it works a little bit?
Sure. So the camera has the ability to generate its own IP address. That's why we actually have a host USB on this camera. With the usage of a Wi-Fi hotspot or a Wi-Fi dongle or modem that you connect directly to the camera, you can stream directly out of the camera. Because the camera can generate its own IP address, it actually has the ability to create its own web page, so it's platform agnostic. If you have an IP connection with, say, an iPad or an Android phone, and you can connect to the internet, anywhere in the world, you'll be able to see what this camera is taking. You'll be able to start, stop, zoom, focus, paint, and also add metadata to the video files that this camera is taking. So one of the things about the 4K Cam series of cameras is that now we have the ability to stream out Rtmp. That coding enables the camera to go directly to, say, Ustream or YouTube.
Wow, so wait, let me get this clear. So let's say I'm running like a small news agency and I got somebody out in the Middle East and they have this camera on. They could literally be going live via their cell phone all the way back to the US here?
As long as you have a clear, clean connection, yes. You can transmit high definition video up to 12 megs.
Over the internet.
Over the internet.
It's 1080.
1080.
That's crazy, man. That's amazing. So then, okay, and then with the HDMI, you can take 4K and go to a recorder.
Right.
How do you record and what are you recording to?
So if you look on the side here, we have a slot for 2 SDHC, SDXC, and also ultra high density cards.
Well, that's a mouthful there.
So yes. So if you're recording high definition, you need a Class 10 SD card. And if you're recording 4K, you need the ultra high density.
Do you use 2 cards to record the HD or just 1 card?
Just 1 card.
So-
But we have 2 slots for redundancy. We have it for relay recording.
It'll pick up onto the
capability.
next one if you
Right,
if you
so
over.
it's hot swappable.
But
Right.
can you record on both cards simultaneously?
Yes, you can.
Yeah, that's cool.
So you
It's
have a
dupe.
backup in case something goes
Right.
wrong?
And you can record and stream at the same time.
It's a powerful little package there. Huh?
Yeah, wow. Wait, so and can you output while you're doing all that too?
Yes. So to talk a little bit more about the camera, we'll work from the front end
Sure.
and we'll work our way back. At the front, this is a Micro Four Thirds Mft Mount. The camera has all the electronic communication capability of MFT, which is really a ubiquitous platform. It enables the camera to have a multitude of adapters, so you could use many, many different types of lenses. When you're putting on different lenses, obviously they're not all going to have the same angle of view, or you might have a tighter circle hitting the sensor. JVC has come out with a technology called a variable scan mapping. What that means is that the camera is able to capture the light that passes through the glass in the native circumference, if you will, or the area of the glass. And by doing so, it maintains the true native angle of view of the glass. So for instance, if you have a 16mm camera lens on the front with the PL mount, it's obviously going to have a tighter circle. You'll be able to go into the menu of the camera and then adjust the mapping of that light that's hitting the sensor so it's native to the light that's hitting through that lens. So other images in this video that you're seeing, there's one of a native Mft mount with the Super 35 image capture capability. It's actually a Rokinon lens that has a native Mft mount, but is able to capture the light for the Super 35 sensor. And those lenses are becoming more and more prevalent.
Mm-hmm.
There's actually a multitude of MFT lenses that have different circumferences as far as the light passing through. So the camera can also adjust to that so that you're taking full advantage of the light or the specification of that glass.
What I like hearing is that no matter what glass people own right now, whether it's Micro Four Thirds or it's Canon or it's Zeiss or it's PL or whatever, this camera, that's sort of the only camera I've ever heard that can actually handle all these different types of lenses.
That's correct.
Right.
Because, you know, people aren't going to want to go and buy all new glass. That's kind of a bummer when some of these cameras come out.
Well, people are very attached to their glass. That has a look that they
Right.
like and know.
We're also able to control the power zoom capability on MFT lenses with this rocker switch on the handle here and also on the handle up here.
Yeah. You got a nice top handle. It has 2 XLRs on this side, and you got controls here. Love that. You got a mic on top, a reference mic if people want that. I like the flip out screen.
Although I'd prefer you use that, but
Yes.
Well, the quality on the EVF, I got to give you some negatives here. It's not that good.
well, I mean, for a palm camera, it's pretty standard.
Yeah.
The minute you go to the shoulder mount,
how many
it's a different
pixels?
story.
Is it OLED?
No, it's actually LCOS.
Oh, it's LCOS, okay. But the quality on this screen's really nice, and I like how it flips around and you can get it wherever you need it to be. Let's talk about your battery. How long does the battery power the camera?
We run close to 2 hours. We also have extended life batteries as well.
Okay, let's talk a little bit about how we have this configured. So the camera comes in kind of a palm configuration.
We're finding that a lot of these handheld or palm camcorders are being sold with shoulder brackets.
Well, that tells me that you want to do all-day type shooting. You know?
Or longer, or it's a different aesthetic, the way it looks, rather than being held here.
Yeah. So what we did to this camera, not a lot actually. We put the camera on our base plate, shoved it back where we needed it so that we get it balanced. We added our Axis Mini here with a Gratical, looks really nice. We also added our Z Drive and Tornado and a hand grip on this side, and that's essentially it. And the Z Drive Tornado is an option. You don't necessarily have to use it. We had it on our shoulder and we're just grabbing the lens and it felt nice.
I mean, this covers anything from that, like we were saying, news, E&G, all the way up to cinema-style handheld shooting.
Yeah.
First of all, you guys done an amazing job with the rig. It was very reminiscent of actually putting an Aton on my shoulder. The way that it goes right on the shoulder, the way that you can put it right on the tripod plate, And also because of its compact systemization, you could go to handheld relatively easily.
I think you got a real winner here. I think people are going to now start taking, the cinema market hasn't really paid a lot of attention to your previous cameras because they've wanted, let's be real, they wanted larger imagers, they want 4K, but you hit it here now. You've got a Super 35 with a 4K internal recording. I think this is a nice camera. I could see us using this instead of these cameras that are all pointing at us right now. Thanks for coming by. This was really great.
It's beautiful. Thanks
Thank
for bringing
you.
it by.
Thanks, Jens.
Thank you.
Thanks, Steve.